Okay, so I've had some questions on how I do my tumblers, and hopefully this video will work. I'm not having much luck. I'm on take number like 30. Battery dead, wasn't focusing right, all kinds of issues. Anyways, this is just a cheap $10 18-ounce powder-coated coffee tumbler from Walmart. As you can see, I did a bunch of my testing on this when I first got the engraver. First test, second test was the circle, then a logo, then a bigger logo. Anyways, there's still a little spot that I can do a test on this. So what I do is, if I'm going to be doing a single-sided tumbler, I see which side they'll be drinking out of. This side will be facing away from them, so that's the side that I typically will do whatever I'm engraving on, logo, name, whatever. So I get a piece of 1-inch blue painter's tape. This one's fairly defined on where the center point is. So I put the tape on. By the way, if you're OCD, like everything nice, straight, neat, I'm going to drive you nuts, because I kind of do approximations. Go across the bottom, make sure it's approximately centered across the bottom, and up the other side. Up the other side would be if you're going to do like a double-sided one. So I've got my center point. I get my pen and just kind of trace from eyeballing where that center mark is. If I was going to do two-sided, I would go all the way across to the other side. That would be my center mark. You can see the tape goes screwy here, but the line is straight. So say I'm doing a 50mm wide logo or name. Center point would be at 25mm. So I get another little piece of tape. And then I get my digital calipers. Set the digital calipers to 25mm, which would be half of the 50. Lock it in place. Set the calipers down. And mark it. That will be half of what I'm going to engrave. 25mm, 25mm. The other side gives you 50. Put it on the center line. And now it's marked. On the rotary, it's going to rotate this way. So the edge of what I'm going to be printing, I want right in line with this line right here. That way, as it rotates, hits the center, goes another 25mm, should be nicely centered. When they're drinking, it's showing it. Now where that comes in handy is if you have another mug, which I just happen to have, that already has the logo of the manufacturer on one side. That would be this one right here. If you look real close, it's got a logo on one side already. So what I do, this one doesn't matter where the lid is because I want it centered with this. So you get your tape. Maybe you've already drawn a center line on it, maybe you haven't. Then you line your center line with what's on one side. This isn't going to be exact, I just noticed, but it will work. Typically I'd take this little rubber boot off the bottom and have a longer piece of tape, but you'll get the idea. It really does not stick to these boots. Yes, I should take it off, but I'm not. You'll get the idea. Go across the center line, and so then you have the center line on the other side where you can center up the logo with what's on that side. because I'm still not sure how I'm going to set the camera up in the other room. To raise my laser box up, before I just raised it 1 inch, I had a 3/4 inch board with a 1/4 inch board to raise it up 1 inch. Had a coffee mug that I needed to engrave that was just a little bit too tall, so I had to go with something different. I didn't want to make a trip to Home Depot, so I started looking around and measured out some of my Jenga blocks and went, you know, that works. So if you get your digital calipers, 2 of your Jenga blocks on top of each other will be 32 millimeters or 1.26 inches. You'll need 6 of these because I have found out there are 6 legs underneath the laser box. There's 2 in the middle, 1 on each side of the little rotary cutout, and then 2 on each of the other sides, 6 total. This one I've yanked out just so I can show you what I've been doing. That's where your measurements and your math comes in handy, and I'll move in the other room and show you how I kind of set it up in there. Okay, so I decided that 50 millimeters is what we were going to do, so I went in and I made 3 boxes in the Laserbox software. Top one is 50 millimeters wide by 10 millimeters high, middle one is 25, bottom is 50. Again, that way while it's on the rotary it'll do the top one, roll back, do the middle one, roll back, do the bottom one. And over here you can see where I've got the top one highlighted that it's 50. I'm doing this part without the laser box on because, well, you know how noisy it is with it and the inline fan. So probably from here out and out I'm going to have to do handheld, so could be interesting. Hang on. Okay, so we've got the laser box fired up, and I've done the math. You'll see some scrap wood that I've put underneath it. Because this is a smaller mug and I don't need the Jenga pieces, but I don't want to put the old wood back in, did some quick math. For 70 millimeters, I knew how much wood I needed to put under there to raise the rotary back up to where it needs to be. Now here's how I line it up. You've got your center line of the mug, which sometimes it finds it right, sometimes it doesn't. So I'm going to call that about centered there. So then what I do is what I'm going to be engraving, get the box around it, line it up with the little mark that you made, and then all you have to do is do your up arrow up to center it on whatever it is that you're going to be engraving. A lot of times up here across the top I'll put some blue tape so you can see the top as well as you can see the bottom. On my screen, not on the video, it's easy to tell. And that would be about centered. I don't know why, but when you do blocks or that in here, the lowest speed you can go is 80 millimeters. So normally I would do 80% and 50% power, or 80% power, 50% speed, which would be 140 millimeters per second. Where it's doing 80, basically I'm roughly gonna do 50% power and the 80 millimeter speed. I think that'll work. We're about to find out. I don't have the big loud exhaust fan on yet, but that's how I set it up. And I'll turn the exhaust fan on, and in roughly 12 seconds we'll know how well this works. Okay, you send it to the printer. And we start. Rolls back, does the second one. And the third one. And those lines don't really show up very well. And I can't get the camera to focus either. But if you look at it, they're somewhat centered on it. I should have done the 25 one clear at the other side so you could see that it would hit that mark perfect. When you look at it this way, yeah, they're centered. And then I've got a little bottle of LA Awesome that I go ahead and clean it up with. We'll see if that makes a difference. Hang on, makes a difference. Cleaned it up with a little LA Awesome. You can see the mark there. It's pretty much centered right where I wanted it. And so then if I had to do the other side, just do it on that center mark, and it would be pretty much centered on that side as well. That's how I do my tumblers. So this was the coffee mug that was giving me all kinds of issues. It's not, needs to be sitting like that on the laser. Needs to sit kind of like this on the laser. And if you'll notice, there's quite a bit of room underneath there. So what I've done is I've gone down to Walmart, and in their craft section they have magnetic tape. Comes in like a 10-foot roll, and then what I do, and you're gonna be hating me because I'm just gonna set the camera down while I put this on. I'll put blue tape around the end and put that magnetic tape on it, and you'll notice that lifts that one side up, giving me somewhat of a level to go ahead and engrave the logo in. And this logo is basically set up the same way. I don't know why I did the center point tape on this one, but I did. Doesn't matter because the mug can rotate. Top of the mug can be anywhere. He can have it towards him, he can have it away from him, he can have it off to the side, wherever he wants. Normally I'll put a little blue tape around the bottom where the magnetic tape is going to be on there. Just gives it a little snugger fit. And that's how I do my tumblers. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed it.